Good evening. Good evening. I'd like to call the Monday, April 7th, 6:30 PM public hearing to order. This public hearing is for Council Order 2025-041, Utility Grant of Location, National Grid, Center Street, Granite Street, Garfield Street. So at this point, I'd like to ask anyone wishing to speak in favor or opposition to come to the podium. State your name and address. If you do not wish to speak, but would like to support or oppose recorded, please sign in the sheet in the back of the back table in the back of the chamber. So anybody want to speak in favor or against? Okay, seeing that nobody's even making a move, that's great. I could end this public hearing at 6:31, and we'll be back for the ordinance committee. Thank you.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Monday, April 7th meeting of the Ordinance Committee. Madam Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Counselor Ash. Counselor Kane.
Present.
Counselor Campbell. Present. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. Chair Leon.
Present.
9 members, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Okay, so first item on the agenda today is 2024-090, ordinance amending Chapter 72, Personnel Policies, adding sections 72-7, Salary of the Mayor of Quincy, and 72-8, Salary of the Quincy City Council. Now, before I turn it over to my colleague, President Kane, who introduced this ordinance, and open up to the rest of my colleagues for discussion, I just want to send a reminder out there to those who are watching here or at home, and to my colleagues as well, that this is a conversation on the process and not the salaries themselves. As we all recall from being here before, we had voted on the salaries already, and we all expressed a concern and a want to have a conversation around process moving forward, to establish and codify something to establish what we're going to do for salaries moving forward for anyone in these positions, right? But making sure that some policy does exist. And so again, just a reminder, the conversation today in committee is on the process itself. President Kane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think you summed it up correctly and accurately. This is just to, well, one, this was put forward as a framework to govern the process by which salaries for both the executive and the city councilor offices receive any raises in the future. So I think, generally, there's one thing I'm going to make a motion to amend both sections A in 72.7 and 72.8 regarding the base salary, because those are now codified in the order that we already approved. And then I'd also like to make, actually, can I make two and one here, Madam Clerk? Oh, she did? Oh, okay, yeah, all right. And the other adjustment I'd like to make is there are two boxes here that reference specific date. So that would be the annual salary adjustment, which would be for the salary of the mayor of Quincy, January 1, 2029. And the annual salary adjustment for the Quincy City Councilors would be on January 1, 2027, which would coincide with, the subsequent periods that would be reviewed. But
2026? Or?
Nope, 27.
2027,
26 is when the raises go into effect, which won't be reflected on here. But the adjustment based on CPI would go into effect the subsequent year. So for the councilors, January 1, 2027, and for the mayor, January 1, 2029, which would be the first year after the executive office receives the salary increase.
Okay, and Mr. President, for the amendment for the specific date box, that's just for section B for both of those, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
We're still leaving A blank for now?
So striking A from both 72.7 and from 72.8.
Oh, striking it entirety?
Yes.
Okay, got it.
And then adding the date January 1, 2029 to B and January 1, 2027 to B in 72.8.
Great, so there's a motion on the floor right now to amend 72-7, striking A, and 72-8, striking A. And then the second amendment is going to be under 72-7B, putting in the date January 1, 2029, and 72-8 under B, January 1, 2027. Do I have a second for the motion to amend? Second, okay. Can I just call, do I have to call roll call? Okay, all in favor on the amendment changes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the amendments have been accepted.
Thank you very much. And otherwise, I think this speaks for itself. If anybody has any comments, fine, but otherwise, I'd make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. President. So there's a motion to approve. We don't need a second in committee, but I'd like to, again, open up to my colleagues for any questions or comments. Sure, sorry, my throat is not great tonight, so I'll do my best, but thank you. Any questions or, yes, Council McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree with Council's changes. Those were two that I had myself. I just had a couple of questions that, the three members appointed by the city council, is there any more meat to that statement on how the council, how it would go through, how the process would be? Am I too early with that?
No, through you, I think that's why we're, having this discussion. Again, I set this as a framework or a foundation for a discussion, so I think it's open to not only interpretation, but suggestion. So it could be just like we appoint Park and Rec Board or Housing Authority Board members, but that would probably need to be codified in here, I guess, as you outlined.
Okay, so when we get to that point, or we get to this discussion on tonight, or maybe on another night, how the council would do it, is that appointing process going to be in this ordinance at all? Is there going to be more can we come back to this ordinance and add to it? Or
Yes.
do we have to?
Through you, Madam Chair, I think you can, like any other ordinance in the code, you can add or subtract from any ordinance.
Okay, no, just, and the same thing with the 5 years. Just a question on how we got to the 5-year number.
Through you, Madam Chair, it's an arbitrary number. We, haven't gone through this process, I think, in 10+. So, there's now regular adjustments based on consumer price index for the region, but there would be a full-on review of the base every 5 years.
Okay, no, I just.
And that year, and then that odd year would allow for the change to be, I guess, actualized in the subsequent election,
Sure.
after the subsequent election.
And the last, and I'm doing both salary of the mayor, salary of the councilors, same questions. When the solicitor's office, I know that when we do ordinances and set the agenda, does it roll through the solicitor's office? Did this go through Jim's office for review?
Through you, Madam Chair, yes.
It did?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions or comments from my colleagues? Yes, Counselor Ash.
It seems from the way that this is drafted.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Counselor Ash. Can you just move the microphone up a little bit? Oh, I think it's the connection on yours, actually. No, I apologize. I think it's the connection.
Better?
Yes,
Okay,
thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair, I reviewed this ordinance, and I guess I have some questions, President Kane, on kind of some questions on the process, I guess, which is what we're here to discuss. I know when I spoke on the raised issue last year, as many of my colleagues here tonight stated, that there should be a process so that we don't go through that same scenario as we did last year again. But I think tying the number or the salary to any kind of performance-based adjustments might get us back to that same process. it might get us back to that same position. That's my fear. I understand the sentiment of tying the salary to a CPI. I would request and suggest that that number and that salary adjustment be delayed down the line, so that we're not adjusting it next year, but maybe, say, 5 years from now, the adjustments could start. But when we get into selecting a review committee consisting of 3 members appointed by us to weigh in on the salaries, I think that might bring us back to the same spot that we were in last year, and that's my fear with this ordinance as drafted.
Mr. President, any comments or?
Through you, Madam Chair, would you like to make an amendment?
Well, my amendments would be to strike the performance-based adjustments and also strike the review and approval process and simply tie the salaries to the CPI at a delayed date. I.e., so if the salaries as voted on are to take place 1/1 of '26 and 1/1 of '28, I believe, I would suggest a CPI adjustment on 1/1 of '31 and 1/1 of '33, and then roll that on yearly.
So Counselor, just to be clear, so you're making a motion, right now, the amended ordinance in front of us for discussion starts with bullet points B on both of these sections, and you're looking to strike C and D on both of them and leave only sections B?
Correct.
And in addition to that, you want to amend the dates for section B as well?
Correct.
Okay, what are the dates you're looking to amend it to?
For 72.7, it would be 1/1 of, I'm sorry, for 72.7 be 1/1 of 33.
Madam Clerk, if I may.
For 72.8, 1/1 of 31.
Okay. All right, so there is currently a motion on the floor to make 2 amendments. One is to strike C and D from both sections, and then change the date for B in both sections, the first to January 1st, 2033, and the second to January 1st, 2031. Mr. President, any motion?
My only suggestion, I'm fine with your changes. The only suggestion I was going to make is why don't we say the mayor's salary or the city councilor's salary shall be adjusted every 5 years based on the effective date, even though this document doesn't have an effective date. But we could say the mayor's salary shall be adjusted every 5 years from January 1, 2026. Because you're asking for a specific date that it be adjusted?
Yes, and even if it said the mayor's salary should be adjusted annually beginning on,
But you're asking to take the annually out, correct?
no, I'm fine, the annual adjustment is, I'm
Oh,
fine,
okay.
I'm fine with the annual
My
adjustment. I
mistake.
would just like for that to be
I misunderstood that
deferred.
part of your suggestion. That's okay. Yeah, then I'm with you. Thanks.
So if it said the mayor's salary shall be adjusted annually beginning on,
Yes,
Beginning on, okay.
starting.
On January 1, 2033. And then for 72-8 for B, it'll say adjusted annually beginning on January 1, 2031, correct?
correct.
Okay. All right, Mr. President, do you accept the friendly amendment?
Yes.
Okay, do we have to take a vote? Voice vote on that? Okay. All those in favor? And just to reiterate the amendment, so the current amended ordinance we're reviewing right now is 72-1. A is stricken, and A is stricken from 72-8, okay? And that amendment has already passed. What Counselor Ash is proposing is that we strike C and D from both sections, essentially leaving B as the only remaining language. And the date change for the first part, 72-7, will be from January 1, 2029 to January 1, 2033. And the date change for the second portion will be January 1, 2031. Okay, so I'm asking to make sure that we're all in favor of that change to, again, strike C and D leaving only bullet point B with the adjusted date changes in both. Any questions on this? Yes, Counselor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we're going to strike, we're looking to strike the entire
Correct. So the remaining,
C, which includes the appointment of 3 members, everything in there.
correct.
And also must be presented at a public hearing. We're going to pull that out too?
Well, that's what's being proposed right now.
That's being proposed. And what was the second thing?
The date change?
All of D too?
Correct, yes. So the date is going to be extended to a later date for both of them. So the first one will be from January 1st, 2029, which is what we're currently looking at, will be extended to January 1, 2033. For the second portion, it'll be extended from January 1, 2027 to January 1, 2031.
Yeah, I got the dates, the other two. I just wanted to make sure they're
Of course.
totally disappearing.
Yeah, so the dates are not from Section B. So B will remain with the new dates, and then everything else will be stricken. That's what's currently being proposed.
Yeah. I think we should roll call.
That's fine. If anybody want, I mean, I'm open, I'm having a discussion, so.
Okay, so we'll do a roll call then on this one, on the changes. So again, the change that's being requested right now is strike everything but bullet point B. And the new dates for the first one will be January 1, 2033. For the second part will be January 1, 2031.
Something to do with that?
Any other questions of this amendment that's in front of us? Yes.
Just,
Excuse me one second. Counselor Devine?
I think this all sounds really good, but the numbers for the 33, that we're talking almost 7 years, is that correct? So,
Well,
8 years, yeah.
yeah, I just don't want to go too far away because I feel like we did 10 years and it was a real problem. So I don't know if we can move Councilor Ash, if we can maybe move it a little bit closer for review, or?
So logistically, there's currently a motion to change the sections as well as change the date. So what we can do is, if you want to offer a friendly amendment to his amendment, we can accept your, I know this is going to be, but we have to just do this logistically, right?
I also don't
We have to
that,
accept your amendment
I
to
don't
his
have those
amendment.
papers
and
in
then
my-
vote on that.
I can't find them in my paperwork here, so I'm having trouble keeping up, sorry.
No, all good. I feel bad because I'm like, it's just sort of,
There's a lot of
going
moving
through
parts.
amendment, but
I might have it, I just can't seem to find it.
essentially, if you're looking to make an amendment to the dates that he's proposing, you can offer a friendly amendment to his amendment before we vote on it.
I don't have a friendly suggestion at the moment on the timeframe. I like it. I really think Councilor Ash has a great idea and amendment.
So let's, if we could, I'm sorry, Councilor Devine, if I could interrupt and offer, Councilor Ash, would you be willing to offer this in 2 amendments? One is to strike C and D, and the second will be the date change?
yes, absolutely.
Okay. Does that make sense? Okay, so right now there'll be 2 amendments that we're gonna take a voice, roll call on. The first is to strike C and D from both sections, leaving only section B, okay? This isn't a date change. We're just making an amendment right now to remove all of the language except for bullet point B. Okay, can we call the roll, please?
Counselor Ash.
Yes.
Counselor Kane.
Is this
Counselor
the
Keith.
date?
No, this is just the language. We're not doing anything to the date right now. We're just doing the language change first.
Ready? Counselor Campbell. Yes. Counselor Devine.
Yes,
Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy.
Yes.
Counselor Minton. Yes. Chairman Liang.
Yes.
9 members.
Okay, so that has passed. Now, the second request that Counselor Ash put forward that we're going to take a roll call on is to change the dates. The first one will be changed to January 1st, 2033, and the second date, under 72-8, will be changed to January 1st, 2031.
If I could be clarify those dates. The reason for me setting forth those proposed dates are because our raises are deferred. The raises are deferred. So the raise for the mayor is deferred until 1/1 of '29, I believe. Is that not correct? 1/1 of '28. Okay, so the math is correct, though. So what I am proposing is, since that raise is deferred to 1/1 of '28, that beginning 5 years from that time period, there is an annual CPI adjustment. If my colleagues would like to discuss that time period, or, that's the point of the meeting, so by all means.
Thank you for clarifying. I think I was not under the same understanding as well. So to be clear, once the adjustment happens, 5 years from then, you're looking to do a review or the adjustment based off of the CPI, correct?
My proposal would be that 5 years from that, an annual
Right.
adjustment based on the CPI begins to take place.
Okay, so it is 5 years, not the 8. Okay, I misunderstood as well.
Yeah,
So thank you for clarifying. I'm sorry, go ahead. Are you all set, Counselor Rush?
Yes.
Okay, Counselor Devine?
I'm okay with it now. It makes sense, perfect sense.
Thank you.
I like that. It's
Okay.
good, because we've already done it, so we're really only 5 years.
I needed the clarification too,
Yeah,
so.
so that's great. Thank you.
Great. So the second amendment right now that we're going to be voting on is to change the dates. For the first part, it's going to be January 1, 2033. The second part will be January 1, 2031. Any questions on this before we move to a vote on this amendment? Okay. I have January 1, 2031, not 32.
That's the subsequent 5 years after.
It'll be 2011, 5 years after 26.
Okay. You said 21, so now I don't know what year we're in.
I'm sorry. I'm so jet lagged, y'all. I'm so sorry. So 2031 will be the 5 years after 2026 when the salary will go into effect.
Dave.
Hang in with me, everybody. Any questions on the amendment for the date change? Okay, could you call the roll, please?
Counselor Ash.
Yes.
Counselor Kane.
Yes.
Counselor Campbell.
Yes.
Counselor Devine. Yes. Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy.
Yes.
Counselor Minton. Yes. Chairman Liang.
Yes.
9.
Okay, the motion passes. So now, the ordinance in front of us, as it stands with the amendments, is 72-7, salary of the mayor of Quincy, annual salary adjustment. The mayor's salary shall be adjusted annually beginning on January 1, 2033, based on the percentage change in the Consumer Price Index CPI for the Boston, Cambridge, Newton, MA/NH area over the preceding 12 months. And 72-8, salary of the city councilors of Quincy, annual salary adjustment. The Quincy City Councilor's salary shall be adjusted annually, beginning on January 1, 2031, based on the percentage change in the Consumer Price Index CPI for the Boston, Cambridge, Newton, MA/NH area over the preceding 12 months. Are there any other questions or comments on this amended ordinance now in front of us that President Kane did put a motion on the floor to approve as amended? Okay, again, we don't need a second in committee, so all in favor on the amended ordinance?
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, so this item passes in committee. Moving on to the next item, 2024, I'm wondering if we should just start.
You want to read?
Yeah, I apologize. We do have to start the regularly scheduled council meeting at 7 PM. And given we only have 2 minutes left, I don't want to start the next item, recess, and then come back. So I'll go ahead and recess now. We'll open the regularly scheduled council meeting and then come back into committee. So I'll adjourn the ordinance committee or recess the ordinance committee at 6:58 PM.
Good evening. We now call to order the Monday, April 7th, 2025 City Council meeting. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Campbell. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes, President.
9 members.
Thank you. Please stand if you're able. Join me for a moment of silence. Please use this moment as you will. Please turn to the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please read the open meeting law.
Pursuant to the open meeting law, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recordings or transmissions are being made, whether perceived or unperceived, by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to adjourn this meeting, go back into ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to call back into order the ordinance meeting at 7:02 PM. Next item on the agenda tonight is 2024-113, ordinance amending municipal code, chapter 274, sex offenders. Counselor Ash, and again, if you could just, if your microphone isn't working, I'll turn on Counselor Harris's as well.
Try it again. No, I'm still on. Well, let me try this.
Yeah.
Check, check. No. Is this one still on?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you, Counselor.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. This ordinance was initially brought up, I initially brought this up last year. It's been quite a journey revisiting the city's municipal code, Chapter 274, registered sex offender restrictions. The reason for me reviewing this ordinance is in large part confidential. It is something that came up and which led me to review our ordinance on sex offender, registered sex offenders in the city. I began to draft and redraft the ordinance that we had on the books from 2009. In the meantime, and in the interim between 2009 and the current year, a number of cases have been decided in the state and even in the country that have a new body of case law has come out since 2015, being the City of Lynn case, and then some other cases since then. So with the help, really, and the ordinance in front of you is actually, it's a completely different piece of legislation than what I initially had intended, and that is because of all the hard work from Chief Kennedy and Lieutenant Matt Panizelos, Chief Mark Kennedy and Lieutenant Panizelos, who are here. And what this amendment to our Quincy Municipal Code, Chapter 274, does is creates what are deemed child safety zones and aims to keep registered sex offenders from child safety zones. I'm happy, obviously, to entertain questions or discussion. One of the major pieces one of the major issues that has come out and from these recent cases are that we are unable to impose any residential restrictions on levels 1, 2, or 3 registered sex offenders. It's something that has come up recently. I know I've seen some social media posts from neighboring towns. It is completely unconstitutional to impose any residential or tenancy restrictions, and that is what our previous ordinance from 2009 aimed to do. So with the help and the assistance of the police department and their hard work, the piece of legislation in front of everybody intends to designate child safety zones in the city and then prevent levels 1, 2, and 3 registered sex offenders from entering onto those premises or the child safety zones. I believe this has to be advertised, is that correct?
Yes.
This has to be re-advertised, but if anybody has any questions or would like to discuss, by all means.
Thank you, Councilor Ash. And before I open up the floor to my colleagues, I just, of course, want to thank the chief for being here and always being proactive and going above and beyond for our residents. And Counselor Ash and the co-sponsor, Counselor DeBona, for bringing this forward. Now, I know that, just to reiterate what you had said, Counselor Ash, that there is an updated version in front of us, and so this does have to be re-advertised so that the public can see the updated version before we have any conversation.
Correct.
And of course, before any vote takes place in committee. But to that end, our colleagues also need to review the updated version, and so I certainly can understand if my colleagues need some time to review the updated ordinance prior to asking any questions. So we will leave this in committee so that we can have another committee meeting to discuss the updated version. But in the meantime, if there are any questions or comments for Councilor Ash on this ordinance, please feel free. I'll give a moment to open it up to my colleagues. Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say, Councilor Ash has been working real hard with this initiative, this ordinance change, working beside him with co-sponsoring this, a very important legislation to move forward. I want to thank Chief Kennedy for being here tonight and all his hard work with this. I really important child safety zones, parks, playgrounds, recreation centers, libraries, schools, daycare center, private youth center, video arcade, bath, beach, swimming pool or wading pool, gymnasium, sports field or sports facility or rink. It kind of breaks down everything in this legislation. We're not going to get into full discussion, but this kind of gives us an umbrella going from 2009 to 2015 and into today. We're up at 2025. So I know we'll have more discussion about this. Just want to thank my colleague for bringing this forward and listening to constituents out there on a very important matter moving forward and helping and protecting our children moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions or comments right now from my colleagues? As a reminder, this is staying in committees that we can review it and then bring it out at another meeting for further discussion. All right, thank you, Counselor Ash. We'll move on to the next item here, 2025-037, ordinance adoption of MGL Chapter 149, Section 33E, leave of absence to serve as organ donor. I'd like to start by turning over to my colleague, Counselor Minton, please.
Thank you. A few weeks back, I made a presentation regarding organ donor adoption from the state, and I got a lot of support during that meeting from my fellow councilors. And I just think it's the right thing to do for our workers that in the city that might be able to save someone's life. And have a motion to approve.
Thank you. There's a motion to approve on the floor. We don't need a second in committee, but any questions or comments on this ordinance? Okay, seeing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes in committee. And the last item here, 2025-038, resolution, the second chance at life, was already voted and passed as a resolve. We simply put it in committee along with the other ordinance that it was attached to, so we don't need a vote on that item. But Councilor Minton, if you wanted to make any comments on the resolution, please feel free. Otherwise, we can move on. All set? Great. All right, no other items on the agenda. We'll go ahead and close the ordinance meeting at, oh, you are sorry.
That's okay.
Go ahead, Councilor Minton.
So I had the firsthand experience for someone to actually donate stem cells, which could be either blood or, what's the word I'm looking for?
Bone marrow? Bone marrow?
You guys are all wrong. Nope. Anyway, I'll get back to it. The process is long. It starts out about 6 weeks before. It takes about 20 to 30 hours during that time. Extensive physicals, monitoring, pre-tests, injections to strengthen the blood stem cells, to donate, checkups, lab time, medications for 5 days just prior to the donors at the doctor's office, often involving nausea or reactions. And the word I was looking for is bone marrow. So I guess I wouldn't feel too bad and no one else got it either. And in this particular case, the recipient was in New Jersey, so we had to travel to New Jersey, but it could be anywhere. It could be Texas, could be California, could be out of the country. And it was supposed to be a one-night stay. The issues came up, and The person that was receiving the donation was a 32-year-old man who weighed 230 pounds, and the donor weighed about 120 pounds. And to this day, I suspect that they just took too much blood donation, and that created complications. So instead of a one-day or one-night stay, it involved 3 days. And the recipient actually ends up in the hospital for 3 weeks, and he ends up getting chemo to wipe out his immune system, to get new, stronger immune system from the donor. Recovery varies from the donor. In this particular case, the donor was sick for a week and then got worse and ended up being hospitalized for 5 days. And the first hospital had difficulty getting the donor healthy. We switched hospitals to another hospital in Boston, and the doctor said that she was so weak that you're going to miss over 3 weeks of work per doctor's order. Fully recovered, it took 6 weeks. Now, I don't want to say that, I don't want to scare people off from donating. I really don't, and this is the worst-case scenario. And this is why you need the 30 days. And so my resolution is that we should include stem cell, which can be blood or, so again, a motion to approve that.
Okay, so again, this has already been approved. The resolve has already been approved at the last
Excellent,
meeting.
thank you.
But thank you. Again, I want to make sure my colleagues have an opportunity to speak as well, but I think this is something where people are giving of themselves in so many ways, and you're offering protections to support those who are supporting others, and I think it's tremendous. Again, this is something that, we can now support as a body because you brought it to our attention, so thank you, Councilor
It's like
Mincy.
an insurance for someone that wants to donate.
Yeah, and to your point, hopefully they'll never need it, right? But at least it's here if they do, so thank you. Again, any other questions or comments from my colleagues before we move on? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and adjourn the ordinance committee meeting at 7:13 PM.
Call the regular city council meeting back to order. Madam Clerk, first item on the agenda, please.
Honoring of the North Quincy High School girls basketball team.
So apparently, I was supposed to not let the ordinance committee go back into session for the sake of the young ladies sitting in the back, but you got a great opportunity to witness your civic people in action. So thank you for your patience as we honor you this evening. But I'd like to recognize my colleague, Councilor at Large, Scott Campbell, who will do some talking.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is a great night. Wait, you were PC High, right? Yeah. I had to break it to the girls that I wasn't wearing red tonight, no matter what. Sorry about that. Coach Roach was ready to take me down, I think. It really is a great honor to have them here today. They're an incredible group of girls, young women, who I've watched actually play with my older daughter or my younger daughter somewhere along the way. And my younger daughter is going to be a freshman next year, so be nice to her, please. And if any of you guys want to transfer, we can work on some open enrollment, if that works. But really, it is an honor to have them here. This is a very special group of girls. Like I said, since probably second or third grade, I think a lot of them have played together. They had a very mature and great team last year with a lot of really strong personalities with Ava Bryan and Autumn and Carolyn O'Donnell and Mary Coach, and all the entire group of girls was just a really bonded group of girls. But this group came in as a very young group, and I watched them really mature. And as much as it does kill me we've been up here so many times with Quincy High School the past couple of years, winning the Patriot League. It's nice to share it a little bit. That was for Mr. Fatsis. But it really is watching them. At the moment that they started to advance even further, we do what Quincy does, I think, in general, Quincy, the city itself, is that we get behind them. And we got behind this North Quincy group of girls, and it was really just a pleasure to watch. I think that there's a thought out there that this was a surprise happening. And I don't think it was. I think that these girls knew how to play as a team. They had a great leader in the coaches, leaders in the coaches, and certainly Liana did a great job, Liana Cunningham. But watching them come together, it wasn't a surprise to see how much they succeeded. And I'm really, really proud of them because I've seen them do such a great job. And when I went back there to talk to them for a little bit, they asked, what are we supposed to do? And I said, well, when we get up here, we'll honor you for the job that you did. And I think that that's the best thing we can do to a tremendous group of girls. So a big round of applause for an incredible group. This is the kind of group that whether you scored a gazillion points a game or your job was just to make sure that everybody was sitting in the right spot, everybody contributed. So congratulations on that. I wanted to bring up in honor of you because there's definitely some great honors here. I'll start with, is Siobhan here? No, Siobhan's not here, okay. So I'm going to start with, she's a Braintree girl, but she's married to Quincy royalty in Quincy Shore Drive, Billy Road. So we're going to have you guys come. Why don't you guys all come up and we'll make sure everybody gets noticed. We'll start with Assistant Coach Steph Roach. I know how important you were to the entire organization in making it happen. So your assistant coach right here. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Is Kristen here? No Kristen Powers. No Kristen. Oh, there's Billy. Yeah, Billy. So Kristen Powers, she was an assistant coach all this year. I'm going to hold off on the head coach, and we'll get to her in a minute. So I want to start with Megan Smith. She's a captain, North Quincy High School girls basketball team. Megan also received the Patriot League Sportsmanship Award. So congratulations to her. Iris Joka? Did I say it right? Okay. Iris was a captain. She also received the Patriot League Scholar Athlete Award. So congratulations to Iris. The other captain is the North Quincy. So she was the Patriot League All-Star, Patriot League MVP, All-Scholastic, and I'm sure a lot more other things that she's going to get here soon. But Mae Powers, you're going to hear a lot about her over the years. Another Patriot League All-Star, Tabby McDonough. And another Patriot League All-Star, Ayala Colbert. Ella Lynch. Maddie O'Donnell. Amelia Maddie. Elizabeth Hames. Riley Green. Annabelle Glennon. Sarah McKenna. Nora Geary. Harper Mergel. Anya Sangati. And Jen Zhu. And I wanted to, the last one here is Siobhan Nolan is a team manager. She wasn't able to make it tonight. And Kristen Powers skipped. But really, the person I think that pulled everybody together up and above, over and above with all the players and leadership that went on there was Liana Cunningham. This is her second year. I brought up the other last year's graduates, and they had 5 different coaches during their time. And it's a shame because they weren't able to have that consistency. And I think what Liana's providing right now is great leadership, and I think she's bringing these girls together and making them believe in themselves. So she was actually voted Division II Coach of the Year for the whole state. So congratulations to Liana Kanji. So I think we're going to get a quick picture in here, quick recess, and we'll go there. All right, let's line up in there.
Okay. Back on with it. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Recognition of Autism Awareness Month.
Okay, in recognition of Autism Awareness Month, Councilors Ash and DeBona will be recognizing this month.
I'm not sure if this, oh, there we go. Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. President. It's important to recognize Autism Awareness Month. It's every April. There are 1 in 36 children are diagnosed with autism in America today, 1 in 26 children in Massachusetts. And given the amount of students that we have, the number of schools in the QPS system, to acknowledge not only Autism Awareness Month for the general public and for everybody in our city, but also for the QPS schools, the hardworking teachers, staffs, paraprofessionals, the RDLC. We have subsequent to the Quincy Public Schools, who do a fantastic job with all students, including those on the spectrum. We also have the ARC of the South Shore Autism Center, and a number of other facilities that provide great services to these children on the spectrum, and then also adults on the spectrum as well. Every year, in April, you'll start to see the patches, the autism patches, which I believe are a very beautiful symbol of the spectrum and of those that identify with being on the spectrum. Chief Kennedy was just here last year. I know QPD rolled out a system and a program platform in which families can note or register online as having an individual in their home who is on the spectrum, and that is still out there, of course. And with emergency management, emergency services, QPD aims to identify folks that are on the spectrum and their addresses. That helps with how they respond to calls. And an example of that would be if there is an individual on the spectrum at home, perhaps they're alone or even with other folks, how QPD and how the specialists respond to that individual, the methods of their response and how they respond could change given that they know somebody is in the home that is on the spectrum. So in recognition of Autism Awareness Month, I want to give a plug to that program, to QPD Emergency Management, and encourage folks to explore that online. There's a platform for you to sign up if that's something that you identify with, but also April Autism Awareness Month, please, the more that we discuss these, the more that we discuss autism and even any other conditions, or the more normalized they become. And that is what is important. Again, we're talking about 1 in 26 children in Massachusetts. It's not an insignificant number at all. So with that, I'll pass it on to Councilor DeBona. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Just to elaborate a little bit on Councilor Ash, it's our 20th year anniversary here. It's been 20 years with Autism Speaks. Big month. Obviously, Autism Awareness Day was April 2nd, just passed. And, it's a big month to actually light it up. Light it up blue is the code. And the technology and the resources and the help from the communities all over throughout the world has definitely gotten better and better every day. It's 1 in 36 children now, and 1 in 26 here in Quincy. So it's something that I'm happy that Councilor Ash, with his enthusiasm and newness to the City Council, is continuing to bring this forward. So it's so important that you just recognize some children out there that are having disabilities or challenges, to really care for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor DeBona. I appreciate both you and Councilor Ash for honoring this month. I was recently at the Raising Hearts Gala at the Granite Links a couple weeks back. I have a nephew that has autism and has found, not only a great community in the Raising Hearts community that serves the South Shore, but my sister and brother-in-law have found, great support, amongst family and friends and new friends through that organization. So, I think we're very fortunate in Quincy to have access and support for such things as early child education, the new learning center. So I appreciate you bringing more awareness to this cause. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda, please.
Number 1, presentation, update roadways and infrastructure renewal program, DPW Commissioner Al Grazioso.
Everyone's favorite work in the city of Quincy, done by Commissioner Al Grazioso from the Department of Public Works. Tell us all the good news about all the streets that are going to be repaved and no more, rickety runs with your car.
So good evening, Mr. President and councilors. As we know, roads are a very big topic these days. So I do want to give you an update of where we are and what we plan to complete this year. Give a little bit of a handout, and you've seen some of this before. As you know, the city is very large. We have over 1,000 roadways in the city, over 257 miles of roads, 304 miles of sidewalks. In the last few years, the mayor's been very aggressive, along with this council, in investing in road work to improve the neighborhoods. And we've used an asset management approach to coordinate roads along with water, sewers, and drain and gas work. And we've been trying to balance these replacements with maintenance strategies to extend the life of these assets. If you go to the next page, you'll see since 2018, we've completed 63.8 miles of roads, another 104 miles of sidewalk. That equates to 288 roadways and sidewalks. We've done another 1,354 spot repairs on sidewalks. Next page will actually show you the map of the city, all the road work we've completed. Everything in red is a new road, everything in yellow is a water main that we've replaced in that roadway. The main focus this evening I want to talk about on the next page is the main roads in the city. The residents have put up with a lot in the last few years, and a lot of it has to do with some of the projects that have gone on. The 115 KV electric line that National Grid has replaced basically through the heart of the city. It's created a lot of work. We've also taken that opportunity to replace water main, gas mains in those roadways. So those roadways will be paved this year. Newport Ave from North Quincy to Furnace Brook Parkway. That road has actually begun. They've been setting the castings, and we expect that road work to be done sometime by July. From there, we'll pick up at Furnace Brook Parkway from Newport Ave to Southern Artery. Gas company is still out there, but as soon as they're off, we're going to get into those roads. Those will also be paved. Southern Artery from Furnace Brook to Coddington, another road that should be completed this year. Southern Artery from Washington to Quincy Ave, gas is out there now. That road will be paved later this fall. That will be paved by the state, actually. Coddington Street, Southern Artery to Spear Street. We expect sometime in the next year that we will be repaving that roadway. That road is, we've replaced water, we've done conduit along that road. That's tying into the new police public safety headquarters. Hancock Street from Dimmock to Fenno should be paved by June 1st. Hancock Street from the Neponset Bridge down to Kendall in North Quincy should be paved sometime later this summer and early fall. This work on Hancock Street will complete this roadway in its entirety, from Quincy Center to Neponset Bridge. This has been done in phases over the last few years. That was a big undertaking to get that whole road paved. As part of that project in the Dimmock Street area, we're going to be doing Elaine Street, Bridge Street, and Thayer Street. And I think any of you who drive up and down that, it's kind of a cut through. It's in really bad shape. We've replaced water also on that road and gas. Adams Street, as you've seen, that road work is going on now. Phase 1, which is Newport Ave to Colonial Drive. We've replaced water, we've done sewer work, replaced gas main, lined another gas pipe. We've done electrical conduit in that road. We've done conduit for new broadband. There'll be new decorative lighting in the historic area, and we're looking to have that work done by July 1st. Phase 2 of Adams Street from Colonial Drive to Furnace Brook Parkway should be done right after that. So we expect Adams Street to be done by the end of the summer. Independence Ave from Braintree down to Franklin, another main road that it's under construction now. It's all new sidewalks and paving. We expect that to be done by the beginning of June. We're working on Water Street from Quincy Ave over to Franklin. National Grid is out there now replacing the gas main. As soon as that is done, we will go in and pave that road. Bergen Parkway, Quincy Street to Center Street. And Federal Ave from Goddard to Water. That's all part of the electrification project for the new MBTA electric bus facility. That should be done sometime this year. And then C Street from Quincy Shore Drive to Palmer, we're in the process of also, that's a state job. That should be done within, we're currently working on that project. Hopefully by next year, that project will be complete. And then into next year, we'll do from C Street to Southern Artery to Overlook. So as you can see, most of the mains, critical mains running throughout the city within the next year will be complete. Last year, we completed Quincy Ave, in Billings Road in North Quincy, and 2 years ago, we completed a good section of Willard Street. If you go to the next page, we just want to explain some of the funding. The Newport Ave, North Quincy to Furnace Brook to Southern Artery, and Southern Artery to Connington is all being paid for by National Grid. $18 million project. And Grid is reimbursing the city, actually paving, doing that. So that's $18 million we saved there. Southern Artery, Connington to Washington Street, we just received a $10 million federal grant to rebuild that roadway. Southern Artery, Washington to Quincy Ave, the state is coming in and paving that section. That's about $500,000. Bergen Parkway and Federal Ave, it's about a $700,000 reimbursement from the MBTA to do those roads. And C Street is a $12 million project the state is paying for. So for most of these roadways, the city basically these roads are being paid for about $41 million from outside entities, which is tremendous for the taxpayers of the city. And it should be for what they've put up with on some of the work that's been done. If you go to the next page, I list about 30 neighborhood roads throughout all 6 wards that will be done. 2 of the bids have gone out. Some of the work has started already. We expect most of this work to be done this year. Some of it will go into next spring. As you can see the list, there's still gas and water work to be done on a few of these roads. Also, if you look at, we also are adding the streets around the new Squantum School, Mayflower, Standish, Huckins, which is a main road, Richfield, and Lower Pratt. They're in the process of having all the underground work done right now. I know it's been very disruptive out there, but all those roads are going to be all done with new sidewalks, new roadways, and I think it'll be worth, Councilor Harris will be happy with that. So that's pretty much the overview. So this year, there's a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of probably frustration with traffic and those things, but at the end of the year, I think the residents will be very happy with the amount of work we've taken on. Close to 50 roadways this year. And then after this year and next year, we still have, under the CIP that you people approved, probably another 40 to 50 roadways in the neighborhoods that we will be completing. And with that, I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Commissioner Gracioso, you came in at a great timing because the winter hopefully has been done and it's been raining out there, but the weather isn't under 32 degrees, so I think we're happy to see you up here, Al, because it's been a tough little winter. It's been a cold winter, and now it's been a rainy spring. I think slide 6, roadway pack projects by others, $41 million total. That is a beautiful slide to be honest with you, put it right up in front of the City of Quincy website. As soon as somebody comes on it, should see that.
Yeah, we will be putting this up on the website.
This is beautiful. I mean, this is, I know some of the ward councilors have talked, and I'm not going to get into each particular area, but a lot of these roads were torn up out of our control for emergency purposes and all these other et cetera things. But it was good to hear you talk about water mains, sewer, gas, all these different forms of infrastructure underneath that has to be done. Time to let it settle. Things like that folks might not be so educated about. Over the last 4 months, it's been very hard over the winter. You can't really plow. I mean, you can't do paving, can't do any of this work. I've been seeing, driving through the streets lately, there's been a lot of sidewalk work, which is fantastic. Cement, which is the nicer versions of them. And anywhere you can do asphalt in-house, you guys do a great job. But I think this particular slide 6 is very important for the public to know that these particular streets are going to be funded by other sources and not coming out of the taxpayers here in the city of Quincy. So National Grid, you got federal grants, state. It's very important for folks to know that those streets are going to be done, and you gave timelines, which is very important. Hopefully we get them June, July. Obviously, we're anticipating Quincy 400 Flag Day Parade. Hopefully, we look good by that time. I know that's the goal.
They don't, I'm in trouble.
But that's the goal, and I'm looking forward to this particular next, 6 months of work, because I know the city will look beautiful. I mean, it's been tough out there. We couldn't do anything over the winter. Is there much that you could have done for paving purposes? No. So I think the timing of you coming in tonight has been good, because folks have been asking out there in the public, and I don't think they fully understand that we can't we can't do roads really over the winter with the coldness out there. So I think going into the spring, I see folks out there doing it in the rain, trying to get these sidewalks done. So I think I know you got the bids in, I know you're ready to go. So I just want to thank you and your whole team, everybody over at DPW that did a great job with getting out there. And thank you for the presentation, because these are all the streets, and I hope we can go to the city of Quincy, folks can see what's going to be done and what's being done right now. So just want to say thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
President recognizes Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening, Counselor.
Just a couple of questions. The Cottington from Southern Artery up to Spear, Al, is that the city doing the work?
It is are we doing the work right now, or are we going to be paving?
Yeah, just that whole operation that was putting everything underground.
Yeah, most of it's gas work. We did do some water main work. We're doing the conduit work. That was actually for the police station. They had to bring the conduit from the IT building in the Cottington building, IT department, and run that down to give, police station needed that. So that's why the conduit has run down that street.
And when we gonna finish, when would we be done with that? I think you said we're still out 12 months, right?
Yeah, that's going to be, I believe, probably next spring.
Is there a way to fix some of the gullies, some of the patches that are sunk over the winter?
Yeah, well,
I
mean-
find that's, and speaking for Ward 1 right in that area, I know I've had a lot of action there, but that seems like I don't know if they could look at the patches to kind of give us a little
Yeah,
recoat.
we can get in touch with the contractor. It's the same contractor that's working on the police station, and if the trenches are settling, they're responsible to.
Yeah,
fix those.
it's tough. Cottington's a little tough, and I know the winter, it was a cold winter, so you get that freeze,
Yep.
and everything is all over the place. So, and the same question was with the grid with Southern Artery.
Yep.
Same thing over there. I know they're still.
They're in
And
there
again,
now.
what's the time frame on that to be done?
We're trying to get them, we've been fighting with Grid on that, but they're back in there. Grid had kind of a shutdown for almost 2 months. Basically, throughout the state, they shut a lot of their crews down, and they're back at it now. That's one of the priority roads we've pushed on them. So they're
Yeah.
out there now. That contract's been bid. The contractor that's doing Newport Ave wants to get out there right away after Newport. Hopefully pretty soon, Counselor.
Yeah, no, I knew it was coming soon. Just every time I think we're done,
You and me both.
I'm like, who's this? They're back. The other thing was the start time with the grid.
Okay,
So I know they're right at Russell Park,
yep.
and I think the start time is supposed to be 8 a.m. I think.
I could check with T-Pal on that. I know they work with them on that, on the start time. because
Yeah,
of-
they got to
because of
stick with
traffic.
that. When they cheat a little bit at that time, when everybody is pouring in Russell Park to Quincy High, you can't take that left.
Yep.
I'm hearing about it. They got to go up to Greenleaf or go straight up Cottington and improvise. And I know that they're there, and there's nothing we can do there. Just happen to be there. But if I could get that 8 a.m. and not like a 7:30 start to set the
Yep.
cones up. 8
I
a.m. set the cones up.
I believe I heard something about that, and I think T-Pell kind of read them the riot act, but we'll double check on that.
Yeah, no, thanks. That was, and the other thing is another one, I'm going to chase T-Pal, Eddie Grennan, who's been great with C Street, and hold them firm. We tried to make that work last year to get them in as early as we could. Now, you know that, and we got an 8:30 start with those guys, at least on the outbound, to get everybody out of the neck and out of Germantown, et cetera. And, then they start at 8:30. They've been pretty good, but everything else, Al, you guys have, as Councilor DeBona said, I mean, we crushed it on streets and sidewalks everywhere, and folks know it, and I'm glad we're finally getting to that paving stage, which is a good thing. I'm looking at page 7, the neighborhood roads, and I see the gas and water, Curlew and Petrol, the gas was completed. I'm assuming if it's blank, we haven't started at any of those streets yet with gas or water?
No, but Curlew, we met with Grid last week, and we told them that those roads were priority. I believe that contract's been bid for paving, so we're trying to get them in there, trying to get more crews into the city to do some of this work.
Okay. No, thank you. Thanks for all you guys do. And so, yeah, I know all of us make calls, and you pick the phone right up. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor.
This is Counselor Devine.
Commissioner Grazioso, thank you for coming in. It's very important for people to hear this, like Councilor DeBona was saying. I'd also like to say thank you very much to your whole crew, Larry also. I called in to have a pothole filled this morning, I think about 10 o'clock, and I drove by at about 10:45, and it was done. So great job. I know people are frustrated. I've had a lot of people complaining about potholes. It's been a statewide issue for everyone. I saw on Channel 25, Boston was talking about how with all the little cracks in the cold weather and then the rain, it created for a natural disaster. Well, what I'd like to, with anybody out there listening in the TV world, make sure to tell your friends and family members that a lot of your crews out there, they're everywhere. I see them patching holes. They're doing it to help us, and some people have been giving them a hard time honking their horns, driving by them really fast. So I'd like to ask that people slow down and recognize that these people are out there working for us in the rain. It's not comfortable for them, and I know it's their job, but they don't need to be getting honked at or abused. So just remember they're working for us, and maybe give them a wave or encouragement if you're paying attention. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Counselor. That's much appreciated.
Thanks, Counselor Devine. President recognizes Counselor Liang.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was talking to someone recently who was like, oh, I moved, I think they moved from like Western Mass to the South Shore, and they were thrilled. And they were like, oh, I'm like, oh, but the commute must be bad going into town. They're like, oh, I just go through Quincy, right? So like, oh, they're one of many examples of people who go through this city, drive on these roads. And so it's not just them, right? It's also the 100,000 plus residents who are not just driving on the roads here, but walking on the sidewalks, right? Taking public transportation, maybe riding their bicycles. I mean, like there's an entire infrastructure here that your team is responsible for fixing while it's being used heavily day in and day out. And I mean, it's impressive. I think people need to make note of that, right? It's very impressive what you're able to accomplish. And frankly, completing Hancock Street, I mean, like take a victory lap, right? I think that should be celebrated. It's of all the streets, right? Being able to complete Hancock Street from start to finish, I think is something that we should pause and recognize. And so when that's done, let's make sure we take an opportunity to do that and to celebrate all the hard work that you and your team did. As I always ask, and just make sure to get the word out, if folks are interested in finding out where their streets are on that list, if at all, where would you direct them to find out that information?
We're going to put this list up on the website, so they'll know this year. As you know, we send out notifications to all the residents. The council has been great. You guys get a lot of calls. We get calls. Call my office if you have any questions. We have a very good staff that's right there to answer questions. So call me directly. I'd be happy to answer any questions for the public.
Sounds good. Well, congratulations again. This is very, very impressive work that you continue to do, and I'm just excited to be able to support it year over year whenever you ask for any appropriations. Again, you've gone above and beyond what has been appropriated to you, and you've stretched the dollar, so much every single time, and just appreciate you taking the time to put together the update and coming before us to let us know what's going on. So thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you,
Counselor.
I'm just interested in, thank you. You guys do great work. And I just want to know the number that we've invested in our infrastructure, I guess roads and sidewalks from that period, 2018 to 2024.
Let me do a quick bit of math in my head. So, you want water mains?
Sure. Yeah, whatever you got.
I would say a quick 140, I believe about 170 million.
Okay.
And what we've, probably to date, we have more to do. That does not include any of the SRF money for the sewer work, which has been in the millions some of it since the consent decree, but even before that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
No, thank you. I just wanted to have
Does not include,
the 42 in the back or
yeah,
or the other roadway work.
right.
Okay, that's
Right.
fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thank you, councilors, and thank
Thanks
you
for
for your
coming,
support. And I have to thank Mayor Koch, too, because he's really pushes us to get this work done. Thank you.
Thanks, Al. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Number 2, 2025-043, ordinance amending municipal code, chapter 113, animals.
Motion to move to ordinance. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. Next item, please.
Number 3, 2025-044, a gift for $100 from the Quincy Municipal.
Motion approved by Counsel McCarthy, seconded by Counsel DeBona. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Yes. Counselor Campbell. Yes. Counselor Devine. Yes. Counselor DeBona. Yes. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang. Yes. Counselor McCarthy. Yes. Counselor Minton. Yes. President Kane.
Yes.
9 members.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That concludes our regularly scheduled agenda. Approval of previous meeting minutes. Motion to approve made by Counselor Liang, seconded by Counselor McCarthy. All those in favor? Those opposed? Ayes have it. Communications and reports from the mayor, other city officers, and city boards. Madam Clerk.
I do have some utilities to refer to Public Works Committee for scheduling and advertising. Grant a location, National Grid Conduit, C Street, Southern Artery, and Overlook Road. Grant a location, National Grid Pole, C Street and Southern Artery. Grant a location, Mass Electric Verizon, 59 Spear Street. And a traffic request to refer to Ordinance Committee for Advertising, Ward 2, Counselor Ash. Add stop sign on Lancaster Street at Grafton Street.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you.
Unfinished business and preceding meeting, seeing none. Reports of committees. President recognizes Chair Harris.
Thank you. Thank you, President Kane. During the reports, this evening, we held a public hearing prior to this evening's city council meeting on the following council order, 2025-041 utility, grant of location, National Grid, Center Street, Granite Street, Garfield Street. Positive recommendation from the Public Works Committee. Motion to approve.
Motion approved made by Councilor Harris, seconded by Councilor DeBona. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash.
Yes.
Counselor Campbell.
Yes.
Counselor Devine.
Yes.
Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Liang. Yes. Counselor McCarthy. Yes. Counselor Minton. Yes. President Kane.
Yes.
9 members.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
President recognizes Chair Liang from the Ordinance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 3 items. The first is a traffic at Award 5, 2025-042, at handicap parking at 54 Flint Street. Positive recommendation out of committee.
Positive recommendation made by Councilor Yang, seconded by Councilor Campbell. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Campbell.
Yes.
Counselor Devine.
Yes.
Counselor DeBona.
Yes.
Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
9 members.
Thank you. The second is 2024-090, ordinance amending Chapter 72, personnel policies, adding Section 72-7, salary of the mayor of Quincy, and 72-8, salary of the Quincy City Council as amended. Positive recommendation out of committee.
Positive recommendation, motion approved made by Councilor Liang, seconded by Councilor Campbell. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Campbell. Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
9 members.
Last one, 2025-037, ordinance adoption of Mass General Law, Chapter 149, Section 33E, leave of absence to serve as organ donor. Positive recommendation out of committee.
Positive recommendation, a motion approved made by Councilor Liang, seconded by Councilor Campbell. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Ash. Counselor Campbell.
Yes.
Counselor Devine. Counselor DeBona. Counselor Harris. Counselor Liang.
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy. Counselor Minton. President Kane.
Yes.
9 members.
Thank you. That's all,
Thank
Mr.
you, Madam
President.
Chair. Presentation of petitions, memorials, and remonstrance. President recognizes Councilor Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Very sad to report, Jack Kelly, he was the brother of former Councilor Leo Kelly. He passed away on March 24th. He was 95 years old. I actually grew up in his neighborhood, and he was the neighborhood dad that everybody loved. He worked for 42 years at the post office, and he was a huge, huge Red Sox fan and someone that we all looked up to and could, every time you saw him, he would have a good smile for you, a great handshake, and someone that he really was the kind of the light and the spark in the neighborhood. He raised a great family. Kenny, Brian passed away, unfortunately, Maureen, and Roz, who also passed away. Roz worked up at the Quincy Hospital for a lot of years. But just a wonderful family. He coached Babe Ruth. He did Morissette baseball. And he was someone that, like I said, the entire neighborhood loved and cared for. He was a grandfather of 5 and someone that he will be sorely missed. But I just wanted to send along greetings from the council to honor him in such a small way. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Campbell. President recognizes Councilor DeBona.
Thank you, Mr. President. Sadness to the Holmes family. Thomas Holmes passed away this Sunday, March 30th. Tom was a graduate of Quincy Vote Tech back in class of 1971. He later earned his associate's degree from Massasoit Community College. He lived in Quincy for the last 57 years. He was a roofer and proud member of the Roofers Local 33 for 45 years, and he'd been retired for the last several years. He was an avid, longtime member of the Adams Heights Men's Club of Quincy, where he enjoyed many friendships. He volunteered as a Little League coach with the Quincy Youth Baseball for 37 years, coaching the Bergen Plattner and Company team. He was an avid sports fan and loved watching games on television, and he also enjoyed playing golf and crossword puzzles and Craigville Beach and Barnstable. He cherished time spent with his granddaughter. He was 51 years of marriage to Susan, devoted father of the late Dewey Holmes, which is a classmate of mine in 1993 over at Quincy High, played football and baseball together, and the loving grandfather of Zachary Holmes, Nathan Holmes, and Neely Finnery Holmes. The last 4 siblings he was preceded by was Ellen Reed, George Holmes, and Charles Holmes, and the brother-in-law of Beverly Barrett and her husband Christopher, Jane Fitzgibbon, and her late husband Thomas. He was the uncle of Thomas Reed, George Reed, Charles Holmes, and Thomas Fitzgibbons, father-in-law of Samantha Finney. Please keep your Holmes family in your thoughts and prayers. He was a great asset to the city of Quincy. He's going to be really missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor DeBona. President recognizes Councilor Liang.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to recognize your announcement that you are not running for reelection after this term. I hope and look forward to your swan song when you finish out your term at the end of this year. And I would like to, give my gratitude then as well. But just, yeah, as you always do, just want to keep it short and say thank you. It's been an honor serving with you. I look forward to finishing out your term with you. Just want to record it's big news.
You're very kind. Thank you. I'm not dying and I'm not dead. So we still got a couple months to go. All right.
You're stuck with us for a
Yeah.
while.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much, Councilor Liang. Motions, orders, and resolutions. Oh, President recognizes Councilor Ash.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I didn't want to follow that, but certainly agree with Councilor Liang's sentiments. So we'll have plenty of time to say congratulations and bid you adieu, but certainly agree with Councilor Liang. I had a few things to note. First of all, I'm happy to keep it light tonight, and actually, I don't believe I have any memorials, which, of course, is always important, but some fun things to close out with. First is Councilor Devine and his wife are celebrating 25 years of marital bliss this week, so certainly happy anniversary to Jim and Jackie. On Friday, April 11th at 6 p.m., there's a trivia night at Cagney's to benefit funds for Point Webster Middle School's 8th grade end-of-the-year trip. It's $20 per person. Certainly, I want to plug that event and hope to see many of you there. I know Councilor Harris is actually our trivia connoisseur, so he'll be running the show. And I hope that certainly some of you can make it, and also folks at home. Today is the first day of the 31st season that Frozen Freddy's is open. So I have to,
That's big news
I
for
have
my
to,
parents.
it's, they're open for the 31st season today. They're open every day, 11:30 to 9, except Sundays, 12 to 9. So you all have 57 minutes to get there. And last but not least, it's my mom's birthday, so I'm sure she's at home listening and making sure that I do what I say I'm going to do. So happy birthday, Mom. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Ash.
Is
that everyone? Okay. Motions, orders, and resolutions? Seeing none. Our next regularly scheduled city council meeting is Monday, April 14th at 6:30 p.m. here. I will entertain a motion to adjourn made by Councilor Liang. All those in favor? Those opposed? Have a good night.